Hey everyone, new recording set here, the internet's busiest rap battle fan, and today we are reviewing Citricity's Kyurem versus Indominus Rex.
Heck yeah, man, I love dinosaurs, they're awesome.
This battle, made by Cherry Jacob RL99, received a lot of praise around the Battle of the Year talk, and after watching it, I think I understand why. The writing has a lot of good rhyme schemes, I think. That's one of the main strengths I walked away from this battle with. The main one that I think about is truly the truth is, you're Rudy, I'm ruthless. And the whole ending of Kyurem's first verse, the last four lines, I thought were particularly pretty good. There are a few too many awkward puns in there, especially because these are giant, scary dinosaurs. So having them say things like, let me be clear, or go to Shell, or S Hell, I'm game, you're game. It's a bit too silly for the vibe of this matchup, I think. The battle feels pretty well researched in my opinion. I thought that there's actually a nice bit of characterization with Rex being more blunt and Kyurem being a bit more like philosophical in their lines, I suppose. That being said, these characters are pretty basic, and so they still feel a little one note, but that's more the fault of the matchup, I'd say, than the writing. I thought that the inclusion of black and white Kyurem was also like another step into the good characterization that Jacob took. I do think also that the battle runs on a bit too long. I think the second verses could have been shorter by maybe 4 or 8 lines. I think that would have really tightened everything up. And speaking of tightening everything up, the flow feels a little messy in a couple places, especially in the second verse. There's a couple more spots where you can tell that the flow is obviously messy. But this does seem to be a fault of the voice actors based on my experience of listening to the demo. So I don't necessarily blame the writing, though I do think it's somewhat at fault. Speaking of VAs, I think both VAs do pretty well. This is seemingly a pretty unique role for them, from what I know. I think that they both bring a lot of good emotion and energy into this role. Iris specifically having a bit more range to work with, so they naturally deliver a bit of a better performance, in my opinion. As for the beat, I think it fits well for this matchup, surprisingly. And I think it probably could have been a bit more dramatic, though. I think there are some points in the battle where I wish the beat went to a higher, more elevated point, but it never quite reached that height that I was looking for, that I was hoping it could deliver. As for the video, I thought it was pretty great. I think the storyboarding of this one is one I actually really liked. I liked the lack of actual title cards in the intro, and you just showed the eyes of the dinosaurs. And I like the idea of having the first 4 lines of Rex, having him be hidden and only slightly visible in the background until the big dramatic moment. That was pretty good. The Byron art feels perfect. This is almost like, I would go as far as to say this is a perfect fit for this matchup, is to get Byron art, because Byron art, it truly looks great, and it really fits these characters to such a great extent. Dan and RNG's editing are great as always. Their styles are quickly becoming very distinct, very noticeable, but in a great way. Their skill just shows through and through with this project. I think the reason I like this battle as much as I do is because it is both dramatic and yet just a bit campy, just the right amount of campy. It knows what it is, and it knows what it's going for. And I think tidying up this project a bit, making everything a little tighter, a little more perfected, would have probably made this like just this matchup at its perfection. I think it's already fairly close. There's just a couple spots where I think things could be cleaned up and cleared out in order to make this, the perfect way to do Kyurem versus Indominus Rex. And yeah, things like, making black and white Kyurem be a bit more distinct, because honestly, on the first few watches, I didn't even notice it, but it is still a very cool inclusion. I just wish it was given a bit more thought and a bit more clarification. But overall, this still makes me very excited to see what Jacob could do in the future, considering how well put together this project still is for being like a newcomer. I'm going to give this battle a strong 6 to a light 7. Transition. Did you give this battle a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. There's a link here next to my head. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano forever.